Well, good evening and welcome back to Frugal Outdoors with myself, Dylan. A channel where predominantly we fish on the Isle of Wight from the shore and sometimes out from my sib, which I meant to do the other day, to be honest. But I hope you all enjoyed that last video. Got an absolute lump of a smooth hound. I was absolutely chuffed. New PB for me at £13.8. So yeah, I was stoked. So tonight we are fishing in Totland Bay. This is basically the third backup venue for this evening. And it's a Saturday night, which means the only time I ever fish on a Saturday is if it's a comp. So it's match night, match fishing tonight. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm hoping I can get a reasonable result. Target species is a dogfish. So I'm hoping I can try and get a dogfish. And anything else really. I will be targeting smooth hounds again at some point this evening. But first off, I just want to try and get a fish. Now we've got a few hours of daylight left in this comp. We start fishing at 6. It's about 5:30 now. So we've got 2 rods to set up because it is a 2-rod comp. And darkness should pretty much fall right in the middle of the comp. Now, do have a confession. If I do weigh in early, I'd like to go home earlier. But we will see. We'll see how we get on first off. And it looks like I've lost a tip light there. This must be my bag. So rods always the same, pretty much always the same, unless I take out a bass rod. But I've got 2 Dio rods. They're both 13'6", so they're not very long rods, but they're just about right for me because I'm not the tallest person in the world. And I've got 2 Shimano fixed spool reels. So like I say, we did have to move the venue this evening a couple of times. Both times due to closed footpaths and steps. I think there's been a few slippages on the island. So yeah, access to some of the fishing venues at the moment is actually pretty tricky. Certainly for the club, because obviously the club insurance doesn't cover for things like that. If one of us was to have an accident on a closed footpath that we shouldn't be on, then obviously the insurance probably wouldn't cover us, so we don't fish them. So we're here. And I'm looking forward to it. It's not a bad venue. Sometimes it throws up fish. The last time we fished here, Nick's just to my right, and both of us last time got into a really nice undulate ray, which was awesome. So I took the win and he took second place, and the previous comp before that, I took the win and he took second place again. I didn't fish the last one, which by all accounts didn't fish very well. So, bait, I'm in such a rush. I was called out right near the end, and to be honest, I'm pretty much where I would like to be. So, bait this evening. Phil, member of the club, kindly went and picked up some fresh lug. Wowzer, look at those puppies. Freshly dug this morning. Look at that, half a pound of lug right there. So they're going to be going out on the first couple of rigs. Also popped into Slamfish Isle of Wight. I've got some anchovies. All this stuff's frozen. Got a bag of squid. I've had this out since about 2 o'clock defrosting. I've got some prawns. I've tried prawns in the past. I haven't ever done particularly well with prawns, but I do know that a lot of people swear by prawns when they're fishing for smooth hounds. And then of course, I've also got a pack of shore peeler crab. No spider crabs today, just shore peeler crabs. Going to be reducing bait size today because it is a match. So we're not going to be chucking out huge baits at all tonight. Well, we may do at some point, but let's just try and catch a fish. So the first rigs I'm going to fish with tonight, I'm going to use a bream rig with size 1 chenus. That's got the pop-ups on the top, so 1 up, 1 down, standard rig. I've showed you loads of times. And then I've got basically a very similar rig. It's a 1 up, 1 down. Again, this has got size 2 chenus on, a few glowy beads on there, and this one I'm going to be targeting wrasse. Plan is have a go for a wrasse or a bream. A bream will take a bait off of this, and just see if we can't get an early fish on the board, and then we'll focus on more of the fish, squid and crab baits a little bit later on. But I want to get through this fresh lug because it's not going to be going home, so I'd rather try and use it all up now, and then it's not being wasteful. So the tide is on the flood at the moment, so I'm going to be using 7-ounce grippers with this rig. All these rigs, as always, are all available from www.frugal.od.co.uk, and are also available from Slamfish Isle of Wight in Newport. So it's quite a simple rig. Beads crimp there, longish snood on the bottom, beads crimp there, slightly shorter snood on the top. It's a little bit of a longer rig this time. I've made these specifically for fishing this venue, just to get a little bit more movement out there if we can. These worm are brilliant. So I'm just going to bait one of these lug onto my baiting needle. Baiting needle's got a little hole in the end, so you can put your hook in there. We can thread it over. I'm going to fish with smallish baits to begin with. And there we go, just like that. That's our first bait. Do exactly the same on the other hook, and then we've got one rig baited and ready to rock and roll. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my normal standard bream rigs on the other rod with the pop-up, and the one with the pop-up I'm going to tip off with some squid. Now, I do like fishing with squid when it comes to bream fishing. For me, it's my favourite bait by quite some way. The trouble is, when you're fishing a match, you want to make sure that you've got all the baits available, and there's natural lug beds out here, so there we are. Two nice little lug baits ready to go out. Actually, I've got a cunning plan. I'm going to get out a prawn. Got a nice new set of scissors to start the session off with. Oh yeah. And actually, these will be available on the website as well. So if you're looking for a nice set of braid scissors that aren't going to break the bank, then go and check it out. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a prawn out to defrost, because I'm going to bait this one up with lug again. There's some really, really big lug in here. I'm going to bait this up with lug, and then I'm going to tip off both hooks with a bit of prawn. The reason being, I know the bream will take it because bream feed on prawns anyway. Obviously not these prawns, but they will feed on prawns. I'm also led to believe it's pretty good bait for wrasse. So I do apologise, I'm squinting. I've got the camera, basically the sun is directly behind the camera, because I'm not going to be belting this out very far. So all I'm doing, small piece of really nice prawn, I'm just going to pop that over the hook just like that. We should be all right. I think that's a nice little bait. Definitely a slightly bigger one here. These lugworms are pretty good. Wow, that one just emptied itself all over me. There we go. Like I say, I'm not going to be whacking these, and the crabs are probably going to have a field day, but there we go. Let's get a lead on it, and then we're ready to fish. Right, there we go. Both rods are now baited. We've got 12 minutes. 12 minutes till we start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some other rigs out and ready. I think I'm going to probably fish with a pulley loop rig. Just having a little nose of what the other guys are using. And some of them are going straight for hounds. So I'm probably going to bait one up and then just have that one and alternate through two smaller hooked rigs and then a slightly bigger one, so I can chuck some hound baits out there as well at the same time. You never know, we might pull out an early dogfish, which would be amazing. You can just see there's a cormorant in the sea, which is not a bad sign really, because it means there might be some bait fish in there if they're feeding. Conditions look pretty good. You can see behind me, I don't know if you can see that, but that's Warden Ledge, and the tide just comes over that, and we've been caught out on there before on quite a small boat. Wasn't very much fun, and Daisy's never set foot on one of our boats since, so fingers crossed we can get her out on it this year. But yeah, the conditions look great, so hopefully we can get into something. There we are, first one, ready to go out. I'm going to cast this slightly to the left because I'm pretty sure we're going to have a bit of pull out there at the moment. And I'm not going to whack it. There we go, first one's in. That lead is definitely on the move, you can see it moving. And then this one I'm going to cast slightly to the left as well, hopefully it'll swing around. Again, not massively far, not punching it out there just yet. Can be a bit snaggy here. I am fishing with 7, so hopefully it will slow the movement down a bit, but you can get into a little bit of trouble here. There's definitely some tide out there. There we go, they're sitting nice in the tide now. You can see that's really pulling in the tide. It's quite a big tide tonight. There's going to be a lot of water coming through here. But hopefully in that water, there'll be a lot of fish too. Let's get this third rig baited up now, I think, because you never know, we might get into a fish straight away, in which case I might actually need it, which would be nice. So essentially it's a Portsmouth loop rig, but we've got a pulley at the top. So rather than having to use an SRT spring, you just pop a bully bead on there, and then that top snood comes down, goes into your cascade swivel, giving you 2 nice neat baits behind your lead. And it means you can fish with 2 different baits at reasonable distance with 2 different styles really. So one would be on a pulley rig and then the other one is flat on the bottom, more like an up and over or something like that. I've got 2 O's on the top and then I've got a 3-O panel set up on the bottom. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to put a whole squid on the bottom and then I'm going to put a peeler crab bait on the top hook. Look at the size of those puppies. So actually, do you know what? I'm going to scratch that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish with my leftover prawn on the bottom hook. And I'm going to fish with the peeler crab on the 2-0. There's a nice bit of prawn left over. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off just behind the eyes there, like that. So we've got a nice, reasonable sized bait. It's not a giant bait, but certainly big enough for a smooth hound if there's one out there. I fish here a lot in the summer. Daytime fishing for me here is really quite good. Only in the summer though, really. Same as anywhere. Daytime fishing anywhere isn't brilliant, apart from, you know, Chesil Beach, of course. The old Shore Hunter, the home of the Shore Hunter YouTube channel. But certainly daytime in the summer here you can pick up some really nice bream. So we've popped that 3-0 in my prawn, so it's all nice and proud. I'm going to whip that on. The pennel hook down on that as well. Now the hound I had the other night, that was on crab and it also was on a dongle rig. But for the purposes of tonight, because it is a comp and we are allowed 4 hooks, a pennel does only count as 1 hook as long as the hooks are close together. I want to be maximising, I want to be using as many hooks as I can really. So this enables me to fish with a bigger bait and a smaller bait. And then also on the other rod I can fish with just some nice little scratching rigs and try and scratch around. There we go. If a hound sees that, it's going to nail it. Whether or not I end up using those anchovies tonight depends. If the hounds come in, then obviously I won't be. And if there's loads of hounds coming in, if everyone's getting into hounds, then it will make my decision a bit easier of going home a bit earlier, because if I can get into something reasonable, then we'll go home. If we don't, then I won't. Right, so I've just taken that back shell off. I've taken the mouth parts off this crab. Take a little bit of the underbelly off, just like so. Take that big claw off as well. I'm going to chop that in half. We'll pop that on our tool. Lost another leg there. And then we'll bind that on with those legs as well. And that will just go nicely on that 2-0 hook. And there we are. There it is, all clipped up. Got a nice crab bait there, a prawn bait there, ready to go out, hopefully for a smooth hound on our next cast. I don't know what's happened here. I must have picked up a bit of weed on this rod. I mean, that one's hooping a bit anyway. And that one's just suddenly gone right over. Yeah, I can see it. Can see it in the water. That's annoying. The other one's got someone as well. Can see that in the water. No, it's just moved my lead. Damn. It's trying to jig it off. Well, hopefully there's not too much of that. Yeah, look, plenty of weed. Let's rebait it anyway. Hopefully it's just a tiny bit that's coming through. Just put my rods up just a little bit higher, just to see if I can't get out of it. But all that worm is still on there, so I'll just top those up. The nice new fresh bit of worm. In fact, that one already pretty much gone. This is the trouble with fishing with worm. It doesn't last very long when the crabs are out. But anyway, let's rebait it. Well, half hour in, and I want to keep these baits going out fresh if I can, because we've got quite a bit tied, so they're going to get washed out quicker anyway. But also there's quite a bit of crab activity looking at the first cast, so so 15-minute changes at the moment. I have now got 4 rigs on the go. I knew it was only a matter of time. So I can fish smaller baits on the lighter rod and the bigger baits on the heavier rod. At least then I'm targeting multiple species all at once. Yeah, still looking for that first bite though. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit now. I'm going to try and chuck one in closer in, but over to the left, so away from me. But I know from experience here, you got like a reef out there, then there's a bit of a sandbank, and then there's another reef on the inside, and I'm just going to try and plop one sort of just on that. Just on the sand. It's a lovely evening. But Nick's got a fish on, but he's in the snag at the moment. So he's just trying to play with it sort of tentatively. Oh, I think I've actually got a fish on here. Have got a fish on. Far too small to weigh in though, but it's a fish. Look at this little guy. Whee! Tiny. There we go. We're not blanking, but we definitely can't weigh this little puppy in. Tiny, tiny little wrasse. Little corkwing wrasse there. You can see just the make out of its spot there on the back. And then the dead giveaway is they should. Yeah, serrated gill. It's got the gill plate serrated. But it's nice to see the wrasse are in. And now we know they're there, which is a good job because that's what I'm going for with this rig, really. I picked out 2 of the smaller worms and I've tipped it both hooks off with a tiny little bit of prawn. So I'm just going to flick that one just over there. There we go. God, it's absolutely glorious out here now. Wind's dropped off. The sun is fully out. Just need a fish. Well, I've had a fish, but we could do with a little bit of a slightly bigger one. So on the right one, I've dropped in a bit closer. Again, prawn on the bottom, crab on the top. And like I said earlier, this one I've flung over to the left. I am going to change that one on the closer in one. I've got another crab and prawn bait ready to go, but then what I'm going to do is start switching it up. I'm going to start putting anchovy and squid on the bottom of that loop rig, and then a piece of crab on the top. I think when that sun actually does start to drop, I think we might see a few more bites. Oh, I say that definitely looked like a bit of a bite then. Looked like it was a bit more of a violent pull down. I think when that sun does start to go, then maybe those fish baits might start paying off, and because I'll still be fishing with the crab as well, you never know, we might get into a hound, but really I just need to get a dogfish. Any fish really, but preferably a dogfish, just to get those extra points. Every comp we have a designated species where you get 5 bonus points, and today it's dogfish. I think on this next cast, I'm going to give it a little bit more legs, give it a bit more distance, get it out in that tide again. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's change it up. Whoops. Because this one really wasn't very far at all. God, that was in there. That prawn has been absolutely hammered. You see there's quite a lot of cloud behind me, but to my left looks stunning. Yeah, that prawn has been nailed. Crabs, I assume. Right, let's give this a bit of a punch. Right, aim it straight for the sun, I think. Let it swing round in the tide. I think while I'm here, I'm baiting up, I'll change this one as well. Do them both at the same time. Definitely going to put a bend in the rod with this tide, but just have an inkling that it's going to give us a better chance. But I think this is one of those occasions where I probably should have had mono, but it can be snaggy down here, which is why I've brought the braid. But you can see it's really pulling, and like I explained in the last video, that mono will take some of the stretch, some of the pull of the tide out. And that right hand rod has just tripped its lead, so it's just bounced along and it's found its place again. Hopefully it's not snagged. We've been fishing for a while, over an hour, I don't know what the time is. But it's definitely getting on. And out of the 3 of us, this side of the landslip, no one's had a fish to weigh in yet. So hopefully everyone that way is doing a little bit better. Oh, well, we're just coming up to the 2-hour mark. And apart from that tiny little wrasse, it's the only fish we've seen down here. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to keep fishing hard. It's the first fish bait that I'm going to throw out now, and then the next rig I've got is all it's got on there, 2-hook bream rig. It's just got some strips of squid, no worm. Let's give that a go. See if we can't find a fish. Another half an hour and that sun's going to be setting as well. There we go, look at that, nice crab bait on the top. Then we've got whole anchovy with a little strip of squid on the bottom. Hopefully that will do the business, but not a lot is at the minute. I'm going to stick this Should be able to go virtually straight in front of me, a little bit to my left, right towards the sun again really, then it should trickle round. Well, it's nearly getting time. That time to put the lights on. I've already got my floodlight on there. I'm just about to sort out my tip lights on the next cast, I think. And still no bites, still no fish. It's really hard. Conditions seem like it's quite nice. There's a lot of tide out there. The weeds eased off as well, which is nice. Just need a fish. Must be 2.5 hours in now, I think. But yeah, hard work. But we'll keep going, keep throwing fresh bait out there, and fingers crossed we can get into a fish. Right, let's have a change up, I think. Been fishing with that anchovy bait on the bottom, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the next one. There we go. Next one going out. We've got a whole anchovy with some lugworm wrapped up the side, half a crab on the top, and now we're fishing on mono on this one. Do wish I'd have brought 2 lots, but never mind. Always have a spare one in there just in case, so I can just do a quick switch over. Let's chuck this one up that way, I think. We'll change this one as well. If we can get it back, that is. See how much less that other rod is moving because it's got mono on it. Much nicer. Should have just brought 2 spools of mono, but never mind. We didn't, so there we go. Ah, oh, damn, 1 rig down. Right, we're getting to that funky light now as well. But it does mean that the light is now going, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we can get a bite. Bouncing away in that tide. Should have kept it a bit closer in really, look at that. So much tide out there, fishing with 7-ounce grippers as well. Oh damn, I think I had something on and I've missed it because it's totally twisted my line up so much. Look, hook's just come off, out, but it was wrapped around the other part of the snood. A 60-pound line, but something was definitely on there, twisted up, whole anchovy. So it's a good sign, there's something out there for sure. Let's get another rig out, rebait this one, and then we'll be ready to go again. But that's promising. It makes me feel a bit more confident about getting fish because it's been slow. But yeah, fingers crossed we can find whatever that was. But yeah, totally twisted it up and had the other hook off. Damn. Well, we're over halfway and it is absolutely dead. Bites are non-existent. Definitely missed something and I had that little rasp, but that is it. I definitely think now the crabs have moved in force now that the light's gone. Because my baits are getting stripped really, really quickly now. Really quick. So, let's keep freshening those baits up. Keep chucking them out. It's got to happen eventually, isn't it? Let's go over that way a little bit. just moving those baits around, just in the hope that at some point we can land on a fish, because I think that's the only way we're going to catch something tonight. It's just by pure dumb luck. Well, this was snagged. I've just pulled it out. It's got an awful lot of weight on it. I think it's probably a crab. Or a whole bunch of weed, because I just pulled it out. Looks like it's a whole bunch of line. It's not what we came for. Oh mate. There we go, separated it. Nice. Got mine back and we cleared the sea. Well, there we go, that's the next one we're going to send out. Got squid head and guts strapped up to the side of a whole anchovy, and then another squid head and guts just above it. There we go, look at that. There's about 3 rigs in there, 1 lead and 3 rigs and a whole bunch of line. Come on, fishy. Just 1 fishy, that's all we need. 1 fish. Well, we're just coming up to 10 o'clock and the fishing is extremely slow. So I think I'm going to make that my last one on this rod. And I'm probably going to pack a little bit early, I think, tonight. Which is very unlike me, but I feel like I'm flogging a dead horse here at the moment. And there we are, that's the last one going out on the other rod. Nice big bundle of lugworm and then a whole anchovy and squid on the bottom again. Just get nailed by the crabs, which is fine, but because you can normally fish through, but it just doesn't seem to be anything to fish through for. I say normally I'm a big advocate of staying on right to the end, but I think on this occasion I am going to knock it on the head a bit early. I had hoped to catch a fish by 10 o'clock and then I was going to leave anyway. But just so happens I haven't actually got a fish. But I think I'm still going to leave at 10 anyway. Must be right at the top of the tide. That tide's eased off quite a bit as well now, which is nice. But yeah, nothing. Very, very hard work tonight. It's always quite difficult, I think, when you come off quite a decent session as well, because your expectations are quite high. And then obviously when it's like this, it's tough going. Oh, well, that's nice. At least Nick's weighed in an eel now. It's the one and only fish between the 3 of us over here at the moment. So with any luck, next sort of 15 minutes or so, I can grab one. And then I won't feel so bad about knocking it on the head early, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen tonight. Oh, look at that. Those crabs have massively come on the feed, completely stripped baits. I've been out there for 15 minutes. But anyway, I am going to pack up. I packed 1 rod up. So Nick's just started to pull in a few fish as well. So I'm sure, look at that, there's literally nothing left on there. I'm sure now that I'm packing up, other people will get into some fish. But hopefully everyone over that way is getting on a little bit better. I'll put the results just here, as always, for the rest of the gang. But mine obviously is a big fat 0 for this evening. But I've still enjoyed it. It's been nice. It's nice getting out. I do like fishing Totland. Sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss, and unfortunately on this occasion, it was a bit of a miss for me. Last time out, obviously I had that lovely undulate ray. But anyway, I'm going to pack this one down. Don't forget, you can get all of the rigs and bits from the website, and if you haven't already subscribed, then please do. It's not always like this. Sometimes I do get into fish. Best thing to do is look back at my previous video where I got a decent smooth hound. But anyway, until the next one, please take care, stay safe, and maybe I'll see you out there. Cheers.